Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Telling It Like It Is. My name is Jade. Loves to share, loves to give back, loves to, just be there for you. Doesn't matter if it's mental health, doesn't matter if it's scaling. Give us a call. There's myself, Mo Pete. We're always there for you. Scrolling across the bottom is Founders Coffee. And it's every Tuesday, 7:30 a.m. at Red's Diner in Kensington. It's a place to come meet like-minded people. It's a place to kind of come, hang out, and just talk. Nothing. There's no agenda. There's no anything. I think it's about $4 it'll cost you to come down there. Parking's free till 9, so away we go. So I am extremely excited about this conversation. I've known Nancy for some time now, and there's no better way to kick off 2026 with a conversation about mental health. Nancy, how are the holidays and how are you?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I had a really lovely time. Got to take my family to Fernie and enjoy the snow and the sledding and being outside in the mountains.
Well, I heard Fernie's it's getting off topic a little bit, but I heard Fernie didn't have as much snow as they probably would like.
No, they didn't, but we still had a lot and a lot more than Calgary, so that was nice.
That's all that matters is more than Calgary. And you know what? You're not here. And
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
Calgary. I love living here, but I think that's probably something that we don't do as much as people or maybe as founders or entrepreneurs or business owners is probably drive that 45 minutes or 2 hours just for a little getaway.
Yeah, I love these mountains that we're close to. I try and get out there as much as I can.
Oh, well, that's good. You make it out there more often than I do.
That is one of
Which
the mental health tips that I would give. Is get into nature as often as you can.
I truly believe that. Well, why don't we kick it off? We've known each other for some time now. I've been a big fan. We've been at events. We've spoke at the same events together. I want to get a little bit about you, a little bit about your why and your passion behind your centered mental fitness concept and business. So I'm just going to let you take it away and talk a little bit about you.
Awesome. I have, I don't know, maybe a little bit of an unconventional path to entrepreneurship in my life. I was raised quite religious. My parents were missionaries in Kenya, and so was raised part of my life there. And so I kind of kept going through the ranks of the religion education route and became a pastor and different things. And I did a master's in spirituality, which not
Ooh,
a lot of people have done.
no.
And it was really hard to know how to have a business case for something like that. But I bumbled along and had a private practice for a while called Spiritual Direction, where I was really, helping people pay attention to those deep places. And then I realized I think I'm gay, and that doesn't work very well in the Christian church. And so I really kind of disqualified myself from my work and stepped back and was like, no one in the church is going to trust me to help them hear from God correctly if I'm not listening correctly. And so I kind of, I don't know, ducked back down and was like, no, I can't do this. And, um, but then I found that actually, as I shared my story more, there was a lot of people that wanted to come to me to share their story and connect, and that in that vulnerability, like you talk about, is where we have that connection and where we become the real people that people actually want to listen to and share their lives with, and that we can inspire others. And so my career kind of took a pivot then to doing coming out coaching. And so for many years, I was doing that and helping, particularly, I would say, like middle aged women who grew up religious and realized later in life that they were gay, helping them kind of make that pivot in their life of coming out authentically in all areas of their life, at work, in their families, and everywhere. Is it a bit glitchy on your end?
No, it's fine.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that was such rewarding work. Like I really loved being that space for people. And I have a podcast called The Coming Out Chronicles where I've interviewed, almost 95 people about their coming out stories and all kinds of different coming outs too, not just sexuality, but I say, like, anytime we're doing something that is really different in our lives, it's scary. And we have to have a coming out of sharing that with the people that mean something to us. And so I've loved that work. And then in the last few years, I've made a new pivot and added an extra certification in positive intelligence and being able to help people with mental fitness training. And that has been like a new layer of excitement and joy in my life, because it's become a really tangible way to help people reduce their stress and anxiety in a way that I've never seen in my like 13 years of doing this kind of work. I've never seen something that's so easily accessible by everyone. And it's in some ways been a way to make a master's in spirituality make sense in the business world. And so now I'm being invited into all kinds of places. Like the government of Canada had me in last month to do a training with their trade commissioners, so that in all of this work that they're doing in tariffs and the stress of, is my job going to get cut, I can help them reduce their stress so that they can show up as their best, do their best work, and really be a space of the, the highest caliber that they can be on their team. And yeah, I just feel so, I don't know, just like at peace and such joy in my life that I get to do the work that I feel called to, and that I get to be authentic in who I am in it, and that's being received well. And that, I don't have to hide it. I don't have to pretend that I'm someone I'm not, because I did that for many, many years, and that's very uncomfortable. But to be able to just be, this is who I am. These are the gifts that I can share, and to have them received and that people will pay money to have them enrich their lives has been such an amazing honor.
Well, I love it, and thank you for sharing that. This is something that you and I talked about beforehand, about being vulnerable and how hard it is, and how you have to keep up this image or some type of effect that of maybe who you aren't in a community or in an ecosystem or your job or in religion, whatever it may be. But those experiences that you've had, and now you've been able to take everything in and turn that into something that actually helps people is truly amazing. And obviously to make it a business is even better for you. And it's a great lifestyle that now you're able to share some of those struggles and issues that you went through as a person, 10, 15 years ago, and now can help translate to people that are suffering the same way.
Mm-hmm. And I think another thing that, like, I'd love for your founders to hear in my story is that look at all those pivots I had to make. And I actually this year just won the Innovative Supplier of the Year award from the Canadian Queer Chamber of Commerce. And I was like, yeah, I think that makes sense. Like, I have had to innovate a lot in my life and, try a new thing. Okay, no, this one. And so it's been really fun to find one that really fits, and it's rolling, and I love it.
So talk a little bit more about that award. So how did they come across you? What did obviously I know why you deserve it. That's the easy part of it, but what does that mean to you?
Yeah. Well, I've been a part of the chamber now for over a year, and it's a national chamber, so it's across the whole country. And they've done different categories and things, and so I just jumped in as soon as I became part of the chamber. I was going on trade missions and speaking at events and doing as much as I could to be part of the community, and it's really paid off, because they've been such a supportive community to me as well. And it really means a lot to be recognized in that way, and to be supported by people. Like I find sometimes in networking communities and things, it can be kind of a dog eat dog world, and people are pulling each other down to get ahead. And this chamber has really been a place of support and uplifting each other. So that's been amazing.
Well, I love that. And you know what? What's their address? Like, what's their website? Like, I would just give it a shout out here.
Yeah,
So
I think it's queerchamber.ca.
Queerchamber.ca, perfect.
Yeah.
I'll look at that, put it up here so people can click on that in the comments section. And of course, you can go to Nancy's website, which is up on the screen right now, centered.ca, or just click on it in the comments section. So I want to talk a little bit about the business side of things, for a little bit here. So when somebody's looking at saying, hey, you know what, I want to bring somebody like yourself in, how do you go about finding them? How do they go about contacting you? And what type of industries? You've said you worked for the government of Canada, you've worked for quite a few. So what other industries or what size of companies have you worked with?
Yeah, I love working with founders, so I'm glad that that's a lot of your listeners here. Um, I've worked with all kinds of like small businesses, a tourism agency, to large institutions like McMaster University and um, Red Deer Polytechnic is coming up soon, and so
Ooh.
it's been really neat to see some of these innovative schools be
Yeah.
like, oh, we need mental fitness for our students, for our med tech students. That's what the McMaster one was, and so people that are really, shaping the future for us, they need this kind of strength to carry on. And I find in the VC world, whenever VCs are looking at funding a founder, beyond just looking at like the viability of their product and if they have some runway already, if they've already raised some capital, like those kinds of things, I almost always hear we're looking at the solidity of that founder and whether that they're going to be someone who's going to be solid and going forward. And so I love supporting founders in that. To have mental fitness is to be able to withstand whatever pressures come, because stress is always going to come, but it's a matter of if you're strong enough to handle it. And I liken it to like going to the gym. If you don't really go to the gym and you have to all of a sudden run up a flight of stairs to catch your bus, you're going to be really winded, right? And it might take you a while to recover. If you've been going to the gym regularly and you have to run up that stairs, you're just going to be like, no problem, and recover pretty quick, back to baseline normal. And so the same thing, not many of us have been taught how to do reps for our minds. And what I do is I come in and I help people learn like 10-second, 3-second reps that they can do every day at any moment of the day to regularly be working out their mind, their emotions, their internal state, so that when the shit hits the fan, they're ready to go and they can do it. And they can come up with the wisest answer that they need in that stressful moment so that they can get back to an equilibrium, even if, inevitably we will get triggered, we will get thrown off course. But if we have those tools to recover quickly, that's what distinguishes the leaders that are going to be like world leaders going on for longevity, rather than those who just burn out really quick.
And I love the phrase "when it will hit the fan."
Yeah.
Because it's coming. It's going to happen.
Will, yeah.
We all know as entrepreneurs and the struggles and everything that comes with it, because it's going to happen. Not everything is going to go smoothly, and if it is going smoothly, it is going to hit the fan at one point.
Yeah. And even for myself, like I've been through so many different things that have taken me off course. And the more that I use these tools myself, the more I see how stable I get, the more my business moves forward, the more like all these things start to line up because I am doing the reps myself. And so I'm most thankful for this training for myself, but also that I get to share it with the world now. And so my mission is to share it with the world leaders, because if I can teach them how to create peace within their own hearts, then they can create peace in our world for the rest of us.
Oh, I love that. And even using the fitness analogy is very good. I mean, we have a business coach sometimes. Maybe we have somebody to help us with grants, and maybe we have somebody to help us with maybe you go to a psychologist that helps
Yeah.
you on that side. Maybe you have different. So having someone that helps you with your mental fitness and things like that is also extremely important, because the mind, I know I've been there. I've laid in the basement crying,
Hmm.
right? Wondering what I'm going to do or how I'm going to tell my wife something that I've done or maxed out our credit line. And it's like, okay, it's just a matter of time before she logs on to the bank account and sees it. What am I going to say? Right.
Yeah.
Like it is hard. And if you're not, and I say this all the time, a company is only as healthy as its founder. And if you're not healthy and you're not looking after yourself, how are you expecting to be a good leader?
Hmm. And I think people know that and people hear that all the time, but we don't really know what are those tangible nitty-gritty steps to do to actually be healthy. And so that's what I love is that this is so practical. And I wondered, Jade, if would you like me to share a couple of those reps with you now so that you know
Yes,
them and the people in your audience
I
can
would
hear
I
them?
would love that.
Okay. So the thing I love is that you can do them anywhere, anytime. And so, you know, if you're sitting at your desk and you just got a really triggering email, like grab a pen and just start like rubbing some aspect of it. And not like mindlessly, but really feel it. Like feel the textures under your fingers. Or say you're like in the elevator and you're going to do a big pitch and you're super nervous. You could close your eyes or with your eyes open, just start listening for all the sounds around you. And try and hear the furthest away sound. And then hear the closest sound. You could put your hand on your chest and just notice the rising and falling of your chest with each breath. What do you notice?
Well, it's just it's it's funny that you use again, you brought out so many good analogies of going into a big sales call or something. And I mean, I know I would sit in my car before I walked into an office or wherever it may be, and I would go over the call, right? I would just really prepare myself. And I think that's probably more because of my sports background, right? Like
Yeah.
some of the most impressive people I have behind me here are somebody that I love, I envy, not only in business but in sports. And the latest jersey I just bought is Caitlin Clark. I'm just fascinated by her as an athlete and how she puts up with all the crap and how she just can just boom over her head and just play the game and play and be the best player in the WNBA. And it's those things, and it's the little things that some of us don't know. I mean, I was lucky enough to have great coaches in sports growing up, and I was able to channel that into business. But a lot of people may not have that type of a background, and it's a little more difficult to do.
Yeah. I had to use it myself. Like I recently was chosen to go on a trade mission to Mexico City with the Queer Chamber and the Government of Canada because they're trying to create more trade elsewhere besides the U.S. And we were hosted at the Canadian Embassy in Mexico City. And so the 12 delegates of us each got a chance to go up and give our pitch of our business. And most of them were very nervous and kind of shaky. And that has a contagion effect. And I was starting to get really nervous about trying to go in and do my pitch. And I was like, and I was like, right, I have tools for this. And so I like put my hand on the tablecloth of where I was sitting and just like noticed the textures of it with my eyes. And I felt the fabric of it with my skin and really grounded into those senses. And that is how we shut off the left brain. That's that like fight, flight, freeze, and turn on the right brain of calm, peace, connectedness. And then I went up and I did my pitch, and I had like even the ambassador raising his hand, being like, yes, I need this to help my people and myself. And I was like, cool, okay, it works. It's really neat to be able to use your own tools and have them be a good sales agent for yourself.
Well, so true, right? And you know what? Obviously, there's Guy coming up. Guy Levesque. Thanks you for listening,
Mhm.
saying that it's grounded, it's embodiment, and he actually has a question, and I want to get to that because I think it's pertinent to this. Everybody kind of says, in a period of time, the world is much more appropriate to label these, like, whether it be, stress, anxiety types, how, you just kind of said and showed a few things. But what happens if it's a little heavier, a little more than just, kind of getting to that point and rubbing a pen? How do we reposition this into a more manageable, construct in our lives?
Yeah, so I have a 7-week mental fitness boot camp that I offer people,
Okay.
and that has a more comprehensive way of going about, like, kind of reprogramming your neural pathways so that the catastrophizing that happens when something really big happens gets shifted, and you can start to notice a gift in any situation, even the ones that look the worst. And when you can do those, are kind of slight shifts, but they're really massive impact, because then you start to look for that gift, you make it be so, rather than going into the, like, this is the worst, like it's over. And and you can see how, a like a 2-degree shift can play out and have such a massive different impact. And so my people really have seen that over the course of that time, their programming changes, and all of a sudden their lives start to become much more ease filled and peace filled, and their connections with people are running smoother, their business is running easier and more profitably. When we've gone into organizations, we've done stats, and there's been a 91% reduced stress for participants. And can you imagine, like, how much more productive would your company be if people had 91% less stress? Can you imagine, like, how much more innovation would come if people weren't worried about all these things that are just like grueling along inside? And the collaborations that happen, like, when we can access the right brain, it's like a world of difference. And there's a neuroscientist out of England. His name's Ian McGilchrist, and he reckons that most of our society right now operates as if we've had a right brain stroke. So all we have is our left brain to access. And that's why we have this society that's just like, go, go, we're stressed, we're going to burn out, we're late. Like, all these things that, like, that's where we operate, especially with our devices that are constantly telling us we are late. We're not as good as the next person. We're, you know, need to do more. And so when we can do practices like this every day that turn on our right brain, that give us access to move between the both, because we need both sides of our brain. We need all 4 quadrants to be lit up at different times for different things. And so it's like it's both doing the reprogramming and then doing the toning every day. That between those, it really does make it so that no matter what big, big, big things happen, you're basically unshakable. Like, yes, you will get activated. Yes, you will have a few moments of freak out and not know what to do, but then quickly be like, right, okay, I have these tools. I'm going to go into it. I'm going to take, maybe I'll do a 15-minute mental fitness gym session and really recalibrate. And you could see in just like 2 minutes of it, how much your blood pressure changed, how much your body just relaxed. So if if we can incorporate a regular practice of that into people's lives, it makes a huge difference. And you wouldn't go to the gym once and be like, okay, I'm good. Or go once a month like we go for counseling and be like, yeah, I'm good. But this is a way to do it for ourselves every day. The way you go to the gym every morning, or whenever it is that you do it, then it's, yeah, we tone these things regularly.
No,
And
I
so
agree.
in my work, I've tried to figure out a way to be more present with my clients, because, like we've talked about, there's certain demographics of people that can't pay for a counselor at all, let alone once a month. I've had, lots of people that have come to me that want my services but can't afford it. I try and find, pro bono or sponsorships from other places. But I started to think, we have AI. Why don't I incorporate it more? And so I thought about trying to make an agent for myself. And I was like, that doesn't really feel authentic for who I am and how to be present with people. But I hang out at Platform Calgary too. Shout out to them. And I was talking with an app developer about how to create an app for my work so that it could kind of interface with my clients beyond the once or twice a month that they would come to me. And in the midst of doing that, I did this other certification with positive intelligence. And a professor from Stanford named Shirzad Shamin, he wrote a best-selling book called Positive Intelligence, and he then made an app that goes along with it to do this work with people. And as I was doing it for myself, I was like, this is amazing. This is like what I was wanting to do, but even more so, even better. And so I had to kind of set aside my ego of my own app and my own platform and things and be like, let me just use this for now. And it's been amazing to have that because the modules can come out each week for my clients in that 7-week boot camp so that they can do that training on their own whenever they want. And then we meet once a week so that as a group, as a cohort that's going through this, people can meet together, get ideas from other people. Oh, how are you using these tools? Okay, you're doing it like that. Okay, cool. And also have that accountability of, I want to watch my video so I have something intelligible to talk about at the call. And then also, the app has a daily focus that it gives you. And so it pings you a couple of times a day to do your reps. And it's kind of been amazing to see how that's made my work so much easier because the app is doing it. But when I do get to meet with my clients, then we go so much deeper because they're already doing all this work between sessions. And so it's been a really neat marrying of integrating AI into my work, but in a really human way.
And I like what you said there because right now I don't see a whole lot of uses for AI. I struggle on the mental health side of things, seeing
Mhm.
how it can help. This is obviously a very good answer because I truly believe that the same reason I don't have my phone anywhere near me when I sleep anymore. When we were talking about that, I can't have that bother me anymore. I need my time away from it. I can't hear the right, like it's got to be away. And and that touch, right? But and what works for me, going to the gym, things along those lines, and seeing my psychologist is something that didn't work for my wife, or something, she's more into the Reiki and things along those lines, which is going to be different for somebody else. And before I get into one thing, I just wanted that rolls into the question I have here that Dan, thanks for watching, Dan Olson. He's talking, Dan works a lot with apprentices and things along those lines. So what works for Jade is maybe, as who I am, it works for you as Nancy, that works for maybe my wife, who's a manager in financial industry to, what do you think like apprentices can do who maybe struggle with confidence or self-trust?
Yeah, apprentices.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't know if you've ever helped any companies or maybe Graham's or things like that, because I can only imagine what their stresses are and things that go on there.
Hmm. Yeah, well, I've
But
hired
it's not
apprentices.
something we have to answer now, and I think it's probably a good thing that you can answer in the LinkedIn when you go in there and get it. If it's it's not, it's kind of on the spot too.
No, I don't mind. I've hired apprentices to work in my business and help me, and I think that's a beautiful way of learning. For one thing, like I think school should be more apprenticeship style because rather than just like study it, do your thesis, and then done. Like it's so nice when you can shadow someone and be mentored in it. And then, yeah, I think like anytime I have apprentices, I try and teach them these tools so that they're empowered to do it themselves. And when you can teach someone how to create their own lowered stress, then they can do that forever rather than just like, having a client come to me once and me help them that one time is different than teaching, the man to fish rather than just giving him a fish. And so, yeah, I love that this puts this back in people's hands so that they can be empowered to do this for themselves.
No, very true. Very true. So what, you've done a lot of great things. I've been a fan of yours for a while. Again, I'm talking with Nancy Shadlock. You can go to her website. It's right in the comments section. Click it. You'll find out more. You've talked about some of your courses, some of the great things that you do. What's next?
What's next for me?
Yeah.
Well,
And the business.
I'm hoping that you've got someone listening here that is connected to Calgary Wild, because I love soccer. I grew up playing
Ooh.
it. I blew out my knee playing it in college, and I um, I really would love to connect these tools for Calgary Wild, because I love that we have a women's soccer team, and I can already see how much more powerful this team will be if each of them has these tools on the field to be using to calm themselves, to like take that shot even when the adrenaline's rushing as they're running down the pitch. And then, to expand to the whole women's soccer league in Canada. Like, I love that. I've had my eyes set on Angel City and in LA for a while to help them too, because I'm a big fan of Glennon Doyle and Abby Wambach. And so yeah, I'm hopeful to bring these tools to as many industries and places as I can. And so
Wow,
there's
I think I have a goal to find somebody now at Calgary Wild that I know to make an introduction.
awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And if anybody is listening, if you have anybody, please let us know. But I
Yeah,
think
like
that's great, right? As I pointed out, like athletes, and some of the great work that Hone does, like in the athletic side of it, and Paula and Jessica, and helping them, why athletes are better in January than they are in July, or whatever it may be. I think athletes and entrepreneurs are cut from the same thread. And Robert Broughton, who I've done a lot of work with on the mental health with entrepreneurs, again, has that align your mind type attitude that works really. He does almost all work with athletes. And again, athletes and entrepreneurs are cut from the same cloth. They have a hard time turning things off. It's high achievers. They're the same. So
you're
I
your own
truly
boss too,
believe,
in
yeah,
some
I
ways,
truly
like just
believe that this is transferable.
pushing yourself. And so if we can push ourselves also with that kindness and that empathy that so many of us have never really learned how to give to ourselves, that's powerful.
Yeah, give to ourselves. That's the most important part.
Hmm.
Not be so hard on ourselves.
Hmm.
I know I'm bad at that. Like,
There's certain personality types that are, and that's another thing I wanted to share, is that I have a quiz on my website called the Saboteur Assessment, and that can tell you which of the 9 saboteurs most trips you up. And so hyperachievers are the ones that are like pushing themselves so high to do the most, the best. There's the avoider, and the people that are just like, no, 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 I don't want to even look at that. And for myself, the pleaser. Um, it's a big one that has kept me back in entrepreneurship, because I didn't want to talk about money. I don't want to make someone feel uncomfortable. Or another big one for entrepreneurs is the restless. And on to the next thing, on to the next thing. And sometimes I won't like even finish the one thing that I was working on for my business and put it out into the world before I'm on to the next thing. And so then I've wasted all that energy that I put to 3/4% of finishing that thing. And so when people can get to know which saboteur is tripping them up from their highest performance and their relational ease, then they can start to do something about it. And it ties really well with IFS, which maybe someone else this month will talk about. Internal family systems is a big psychology thing right now. And so being able to get to know the different parts inside of us, when we can name it and be like, oh, my restless is really activated right now. I need to step away from my partner or this project. It's like, okay, we can understand that. And then your partner doesn't take it so personally, because it's this
mhm.
part of you. It's not just like that you don't like them. You can explain it that way. And so that's something I love helping people with, is do the quiz and then come do a session with me, because I love unpacking that and helping you see, like, this is the trail of what's keeping you from more success in your business, or performing at your highest amount, or your relationship being enjoyable and running smoothly. And so that's my gift for your people is come and do that with me, and I'd love to share it with them.
Well, I would love to. And again, anybody wants more information, please click on Nancy's website in the comment section, take you directly there, take the quiz. You can reach out to her on LinkedIn. You can comment here after if you see this. People are there. People are there to help. And, even if you reach out and there's something that we can't help you with, we probably know somebody that can.
Yeah.
So it's important to take that first step and to reach out and ask for help. And I'm always sad. This is the favorite hour of my week. I love it. I get to talk to incredible people like Nancy, and when these conversations come to an end, it puts a little tear in my eye. And we could probably sit here all day and just chat. And maybe I do an all day open live show one day. see who comes on. There might be a lot of sitting by myself eating. I don't know, but I do have one more question for you. And again, I've asked this at the end. I've got a little twist on it for you. But if you had one piece of advice for an entrepreneur, a startup, or a founder struggling with things, what would that be?
I would say, don't do it alone. Know that there are people around you that care and that want to help you. It's so scary to share that struggle and to say it out loud, but that really is the first step of it getting better. And so when you can find someone that it feels safe to share that with, do. And if you feel like there's no resources or no possible way to find this help, there is. Like, reach out to Jade, reach out to me. We will help you find the way that you can be supported in moving forward. We don't want anyone left behind and not able to move forward with what they want to do in their life.
That is very true, and that's great advice. And thank you for saying that. And thank you for coming on, and thank you for doing what you do. I mean, the mental side of life, of work, of entrepreneurship, of apprenticeship, or whatever it is so important. Again, a company it's only as healthy as you are, and we have to look after that. And that's why most Januaries I do have a lot of these conversations, because I think it's important. And I've lived it. We've lived it as a family, and it's something that you need. So again, Nancy, thank you for coming out. If anybody wants to reach out to her website is in the comments section. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for sharing your knowledge with us.
Thanks for having me on, Jade. It was great to be with you.
Oh, absolutely. I loved it. I love these talks, and I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their Wednesday and the rest of their week. And we will talk to you next week when we bring on Dustin Hogan, and his company is Therapy for Dudes. So I love the name. So
Yeah.